Have you ever heard the comment in Sunday school that when you break one of the Old Testament laws, then you're stoned to death? Hi, this is Perry Phillips with 10-Minute Torah, day number 2 of Torah portion Mishpatim. Now, as we read beginning in Exodus or Shemot chapter 21, verse 1, you'll just see that there are various laws or commands that are given to cover various situations. And where they don't seem to have a modern day application, look for the principle behind the command and see where the principle may yet still apply. Now, according to the opening remark, there is the erroneous view that if you disobey any one of the Torah's commands, then you're going to be dragged outside the city and they're going to stone you for any and every infraction. Well, that's simply not true. There are commands that are basically guidelines and understandings about how to show mercy, how to be inclined to help your neighbor, to be a rescuer instead of a tormentor. There are, however, a few crimes, a few issues for which one is stoned. In particular, in chapter 21, there are 3. One who commits premeditated murder. Well, there's no shock there. We still execute people for that. Kidnapping. And here's the surprise. Striking your parents. How are all of these equated? So while we would consider then that one who has committed premeditated murder, certainly they would be worthy of death. Not only have they stolen someone's life, but they have stolen their potential future. So when you kill someone, you're not just taking the life, you're taking the life that could be as well. So it's not just for the act of shedding blood or taking a life, but you also have taken away the future for the person's family, for their relatives, for their loved ones, the benefit and the good that they may have been able to do for someone else. When you are kidnapping someone, you are not only stealing the moments of their life, but you are now causing harm to their mind and to their spirit for the rest of their life, so that potentially they would live in fear. So there is an understanding here then to kidnap someone, you are stealing their will, and you're stealing perhaps what their will could be. Therefore, you are maiming their life and worthy of death. Now, what about striking a parent? In addition to what the Torah says here, the commentary by the ancient Jewish commentator Rashi, he says, not only did you strike the parent, but you left a bruise upon them. What is it that you're doing here? When you abuse, especially physically abuse your parents, you are stealing their dignity. You are revealing their character to be poor quality parents to anyone that would know them, that would raise a child that would be so angry and so abusive as to lash out at them physically and do them harm. And so there is this reputation of the parents that is being destroyed. This also causes them to be tainted, not just among those that know them, but the word will spread. And it marks their future. Will they be limited as to the benefit and the inclusion by others in the future because their child has acted out in such a egregious fashion against them? When a child curses their parents, they're using the only thing that separates mankind from the animal kingdom to do the most harm, our ability to speak. Imagine that. It is the power of the breath of Yah in us ushering forth and forming words and speech, then we use that to curse with. Imagine now just all the different areas of contemplation that you could go with the fact that breath in us is not just a mixture of nitrogen and oxygen that is going in and out of our lungs that causes our body to be sustained in its health. But you and I are animated by the Spirit of Yah, the very breath of our Creator. Yah breathed into Adam, or Adam, and he became a living soul. For one then to take your breath and use it to form words that are filled with foolish jesting, that are filled with cursing and anger and malice and gossip and slander, and the list can go on and on. No wonder Yah then would hold you and I to such a high account. Now, let's go a little bit further here. At the end of this chapter, there's some 9 verses that are relegated to issues regarding an ox. If I have an ox and it gets out of my fence, if it breaks through and it goes and it damages someone else's property, I'm liable to pay for the damage that they incurred. If my ox goes into my neighbor's property and with its horns it gores and either maims or kills my neighbor's servants, then I have to pay for their lives, whatever the value of their service and servitude to that owner is. If my ox goes out of my pen and it gores another ox and kills it, then the Torah says my ox should be sold. We split the proceeds between myself and my neighbor, and then we divide the flesh of the ox that was killed. So this is about equity and taking responsibility. It's about understanding I need to make sure that my ox stays penned up, especially if it is tended toward violence and goring other animals. Now, if my ox has already broken out and caused mishap once, and I fail to constrain this animal and protect others from this animal, and it gets out and it kills someone, the ox is stoned, and then I'm liable with my own life. Yah is not playing here. Now, is the Torah really that concerned about ox or oxen getting out of pens? Was it really that big a deal, or is there something else that is going on here? Wherever you see Torah commands, they can be looked at on multiple levels of application and righteous understanding. What I find interesting here in regards to an ox, it is the symbol of the tribe Ephraim. Ephraim is also the lead nation of the 10 northern tribes that broke away after the death of Solomon, or Shelomo, when Shelomo's son Rehoboam took the reign. He acted foolishly and he split the nation. 2.5 tribes to the south, the remainder of the tribes to the north, and they became known as the house of Israel, the house of Ephraim. They also became known as Samaria, named after their capital city. They also became known as the house of Joseph, and they are referred variously throughout the prophets as such. Collectively, they were known as Ephraim. They were an obstinate people who rejected Jerusalem, rejected righteous worship, rejected Yah, except in mixing him in with what was acceptable to him. And then Yah scattered them out of the land in 722 BC, and they've not been back since. They're still scattered in their lineage all over the earth. And such are many of us, at least through adoption, perhaps. If I have a congregation member that is known to use their mouth and go out and harm other people, I need to pin him up. If you are such an ox, stay in your fence and leave other oxen alone. Yah is trying to prevent either you or me or someone else from doing harm that will cause great need of recompense. Lest judgment fall. Let's be careful. More on this tomorrow, and until then, shalom.